Hey everyone, welcome back to week 23 of the Waiver Wire show. I am your host, Dapscout or JP, and I am not going to be joined today with my co host, Jason Beckner, because he is on vacation, much needed, and he gets to enjoy himself. So I will try my best to not only host the show by myself, but also hit all the buttons here on the back end so you can see new banners and content and all that stuff. You don't understand all the clicking that goes on while we are talking at the camera and trying our best to give you all the content that you need. So, week 23, the Jordan number. This is where I have to do a Hall of Fame all-star production here, but also I'm here to help you win that championship. Hopefully, you're right there in the playoffs if you're in head-to-head, or right there in the top 2, 3, hopefully not 4, but top seeds in your Roto League. So we're going to try to cover these different waiver wire picks. We like to find people that are less than 50%, and even, let's be honest, a little less than that. 30s, even 20s are great for us because most likely they're going to be on your waiver wires. I'm in some highly competitive leagues, and sadly, none of these players that I'm going to spotlight are there. But in other leagues, they definitely might be, and I have seen them in other leagues as well. So we're definitely hoping that we can help you win the championship. And if we can help you get to the playoffs, if we help you win that championship, please tweet at us. Let us know that we've done that because it absolutely makes our day, our week better and helps us make us feel like we're not all alone here talking to a camera. As always, the Waiver Wire show is brought to you by FantasySixPack.net. Come on down to FantasySixPack.net. You can become a subscriber today. And when you become a subscriber, you have access to a whole bunch of subscriber features. And as fantasy football ramps up here in week 1, as we speak, in Thursday's game especially, you're able to get access to our fantasy football cheat sheet. Next season, when we do baseball, we can do fantasy baseball's cheat sheet. And we have 6 sports that we cover, hence the six-pack name. But I like, and one of my favorite features is the Discord. You can go on our Discord and reach out to me, Jason, any of our fantasy baseball, or any of our fantasy analysts, and we'll answer your questions directly. No questions too big or too small. We've had people literally give us their entire roster and say, hey, who do you like? Who should I keep? Here's my waiver wire. Who do you like? Who should I keep? And you know what? I love doing that. That's one of my favorite things to do other than host this show. So definitely come on down and become a subscriber today. Now, before we kick off the show, I know all these announcements. I need to issue an apology. I didn't misspell somebody's name. I didn't say the name wrong, which I normally do, but I did do something very stupid after last week's show. So if you ever follow one of my tweets, I always say, hey, you know what? Here's our Waiver Wire show. And thank you to all these various people that we have. And we talked about your particular tweets on our show because I want to give content providers the respect and the applause that they deserve because they are the ones that are providing all this content. And a lot of people don't say, hey, you know what? This is where we got it from. So one of the people we called out specifically was Alex D'Agostino. And stupidly, in my tweet, thinking I said she in our show. First of all, Alex has some phenomenal hair. It's some of the best out there. And I hope he never cuts it because he literally could show just how to take care of yourself and how to kind of handle hair care products. And I think I'd watch that as well. But I said she, and you know what, Alex, I apologize for that. And Kate Diaz called me out on it, rightfully so, and said, haha, they called you she, ouch. And Alex could not have been more polite and said, look, you know what, my hair can be deceiving. And that was on me. I have been following Alex for quite some time, and I just flubbed it. There's nothing I could say there. And so, Alex, I apologize. Please follow Alex on Twitter. Follow Kate Diaz on Twitter. I'm going to have both of their Twitter accounts on my tweet about this show so you can follow them. They're both awesome and definitely worth a follow as well. So let's start this show like we do every show lately, and that is hitting you over the head and saying, why haven't you picked this guy up? Because he's awesome. And today's show is brought to you by Nolan Jones. Nolan Jones, we've highlighted a few times on the show because he was not given the respect he deserved. I mean, he was a top prospect with the Cleveland Guardians, but frankly, he just wasn't given enough playing time. And a hitter going to Colorado? Yeah, that's pretty much everything we love there. So Nolan Jones has gone to Colorado, and he had a hot streak, and then he was sent down, and then he had a hot streak, and he's kind of stayed up. Mike Kurland, one of my absolute favorite follows. And I'm sorry I say that about everybody, but Mike is awesome. He lets me text him, and I get to text Mike. That's pretty awesome. But Mike lets me text him, and I follow his advice all the time. If you haven't seen his start sit, or especially his in spring training and in football as well, but spring training baseball, it's huge. He lets you know exactly where somebody is in the lineup. If they're sitting as left-handed, really looking at trend analysis. So Mike's a great follow on Twitter. So he calls out this. Nolan Jones, 15 home runs, 13 stolen bases, 13 for 14 on the attempts in 327 plate appearances. 15.7 barrel percentage. And here's a red flag, because guess what? I'm going to be honest. Almost all the people here that we're going to highlight have a red flag, or else they wouldn't be on waivers, right? So he's got a really high K percentage of 31.8. But he doesn't chase. He has a patient approach. Doesn't have much swing and miss in the zone. He has an inflated batting average of balls in play, BABIP, but hitting the ball hard, above average speed, and Coors helps it play up. So there's a lot of good there. Again, we're looking for that magic here at the last part of the season, right? We're not looking for a guy that's going to be able to play the all 162 games, because we're only in the last couple of weeks. So a couple of things here are fantastic, right? The barrel percentage, patient approach, and the most important part, he plays in Coors Field. So let's pull up Nolan Jones, especially let's look at these last 7 games where you have not picked him up. In 27 at-bats, he has 7 runs, 10 hits, 2 home runs, 9 RBIs, 4 walks, 5 strikeouts, and 5 stolen bases. He's basically playing at a Hall of Fame level this last 7 games. That brings you a 370 average, 452 on base percentage, and 815. The thing is that it's not just the last 7 games. Yes, the 2 home runs is 2 of the 3 of the last 15 games. But if you look at the last 15 games, he still has had a 397 OBP and a 636 slugging. That's darn good. So get on Nolan Jones. He's on a hot streak for sure. This is probably going to carry out for at least a week, if not 2. Carry you into the championships, and you can ride this wave. He's a top pick. He's a top prospect. This is definitely somebody who is getting it done. And anytime you see the home, little home tag without the @ on Nolan Jones, you're going to be starting him. But if you also look at the last 3 games here, at San Francisco, at Arizona, he's had, 1 home run. He had 4 hits. He had 5 RBIs, only 1 strikeout, and 2 stolen bases. And that's away from Colorado. So he's a pretty good start right now. He's playing on fire. He's playing a little bit over his head, I'm not going to lie. But so definitely, Nolan Jones, I'm going to hit you over the head and say, go pick him up. We highlighted him before. It's definitely time to go get him. Okay, so let's go and pick up our new waiver wire picks for this week. And we start with, yes, the man I tried to grab as many places as possible when he got hurt in Dynasty previously, and that's Royce Lewis. Royce Lewis has... If we think Nolan Jones has been on a hot streak, Royce Lewis has been out of his mind. It's NBA Jams-esque. He's on fire. There should be just flames coming off of him in every possible aspect. But what I love is how many grand slams he has had recently. And Cespedes Family Barbecue, again, one of the premier podcasts out there, Cespedes Barbecue on Twitter. Royce Lewis now has more grand slams this year, 3 in 44 games, than Derek Jeter and Pete Rose had in their careers combined. That's 2 grand slams in 6,309 games. Yeah, that's kind of good. And that also just tells you, again, he's making the most of the situation. He's making the most of his at-bats, and he is absolutely destroying the ball. Let's look at what he's been doing lately as well. So I wanted to pull up his splits because I just want to show you just, again, how hot this gentleman is. If you look at July, he's only played 1 game, right? In June, I think we might have highlighted him, but June he had 23 games, 84 at-bats, and a 333 average. But again, his playing time, getting hurt, and everything in between with Royce is always kind of the hard part here, right? But then they brought him back up, and they're playing him every day. And in the 14 games in August, it's unsustainable, right? It's 5 home runs, 10 runs scored, 14 RBIs, 6 walks, only 12 strikeouts, and 55 at-bats. Now, he's not a huge strikeout prone, but that's pretty amazing with a 273 average. September, we're only 9 days into this, he has 7 games, 28 at bats. So just half of August, right? So we can almost look like just double this up, and this is where we should be with August. So 31 plate appearance. I'm sorry, I'm laughing because it's so ridiculous. He has 11 hits already. He only had 15 in all of August. So if we again double it up, he should be, it should be at 22. He's already beaten August. 7 singles, 2 doubles, 2 home runs, right? And 8 runs scored with 12 RBIs and 3 walks, and only 4 strikeouts with almost a 400 average. Yeah, it's time to put him in every lineup that you possibly can. If he's still out there, considering how hot he is right now, it's insane. Look at this, right? For his 2023, he's had 11 home runs. We just talked about where 7 of them come from in the last month and a half. But the great thing is that he's really kept his K percentage down. In 2022, we were looking at 20% or so, but that kept creeping up. And then he's keeping at 22.9. So again, looking at Nolan Jones, where we were really worried about this, K rate, Royce is really keeping it down at 22.9%. His ISO is above 200 with 225, and batting average balls play right. So this is inflated. This is my red flag here. This is definitely going to come down. But OBP at 370, 545 slugging. Yes. If you're in an OBP league and you haven't gotten Royce Lewis yet, what are you doing? Go grab Royce Lewis and plus add that to the slugging percentage. Against a Twins team that's playing against a lot of Central teams that have already kind of given up. I'm loving every bit of this for the rest of the season. Royce Lewis is a great waiver wire pickup play, especially at a third base that is really top heavy. Royce Lewis will definitely be a great pickup as well. So Royce Lewis, the pickup for Minnesota. Now let's go to our next one. And Brandon Lowe. Now, I am saying Brandon Lowe because I'm going to say that again because I spent an enormous amount of time making sure that I was saying the right thing. Not saying Lowe, but saying Lowe. As you might know, if you've ever watched this show, I hate mispronouncing names, but it happens all the time. I can't spell and I can't pronounce names right. And I really wanted to make sure I got this one correct. So Brandon Lowe is one of our pickups as well for the Tampa Bay team that is floundered at late. And then it looks like they're really kind of picking it up here. And I love Kevin Cash's quote here, right? When Brandon Lowe is healthy and on the field, he's an MVP candidate. Now, why am I highlighting this? Because frankly, when it comes to the Rays, you never know who's going to start. I mean, there's like 1 or 2 players that always start, and then it seems like everybody else can be mixed in wherever. I mean, heck, they could put a second baseman at, first base coach. I don't know. The Rays always have a plan, but it really messes with you from the fantasy roster perspective. With a really high praise here from Kevin Cash, I cannot think that he's not starting Lowe every game when possible. And again, when healthy, or if he's trying to keep him healthy, he might only start him, 5 of 6 for a week. But this is definitely a good indication that he's going to start every single game when possible. The other thing I want to call out here too is, right, is let's see how hot he's gotten, right? He was scorching March, April, right? 7 home runs, 20 runs scored, 18 RBIs, and 13 walks. Those power numbers came down, as did his playing, because again, he hurt, playing time, etc. Right? In June, he only had 2 games. And then he kicked back up, and then he had 5 home runs again. And then in August, it kind of dipped down to 3. And again, I want to look at a couple things here as well. The strikeouts. The strikeouts are really high in March, April, but you were okay with that considering the power numbers. The strikeouts stayed high and the power numbers came down, which we expected, right? There's regression, right? 233 average to 185. And you're not picking Lowe because of his average. You're picking them up for the power numbers. But again, you need to hit the ball, and you need to be hitting the ball fair to even get power numbers. So we are still conscious of these things as well. In August, 3 home runs, 10 runs scored. And then already, again, 9 games in September, 2 home runs, 6 runs scored. So we're almost matching August. And we're already half of the at-bats in as well. Yes, he's hit some singles, 1 double, and those 2 home runs. But the great thing is, too, he's had 4 walks and 6 strikeouts. So I'm liking, again, the balance that he has back. He's playing like he's, back at the health that he's supposed to be having. And he's finally getting enough at-bats. So we're really starting to enjoy having Lowe back. 2022, we can kind of, throw out. And if you look, right, 2018, 43 games, 2019, 82 games, 2020, 56 games. So let's look at like his first elongated season here in 2021, where he had almost 100 RBIs, almost 100 runs scored, almost 40 home runs. So this is not an anomaly. He has the power for days. And again, he kept that strikeout rate under 30%, under 28%, which is even better. I mean, the lower the better, right? That's obvious. But the thing here, right, is we look at the fact that he is in line with a lot of those numbers from 2021 on the back end, right? His K percentage is down. His walk percentage at 11.4 is right in line with the one he had then at 11.1. The only thing here, again, is that we're seeing the slugging percentage not where it was that year, and the OBP is a little bit down from there. So what that tells me is there's room for improvement. What that tells me is give him a chance to play, keep him healthy. He's only 28. Again, this is somebody who I feel like has been around for so long and has got hurt so many times. I was thinking 30 years old, 31 years old. At 28 years old, and he's only played 98 games, he has definitely a lot in that bat. Tampa Bay team that has a lot to play for. He's going to be playing a ton, as we just saw with Kevin Cash's comments. So I'm definitely going to be looking and saying, all right, this is somebody who I want to target. And if you can't, if you want to put him in a kind of a ranking order of who we've talked about so far, it's going to be Lowe, Lewis, and then Jones all day. Lowe first, at the top, running away, and then everybody else. But Royce isn't that far behind. I just, the track record there is not the same. But man, all those grand slams is great. Okay, so let's go on to our next player here. And I have a non-baseball highlight tweet. I like to throw those in occasionally when I can't find something good. And Ramona Benson. Who is Ramona Benson? Well, that's Will Benson's mom. And the reason why she is calling something out is because Xzavion Curry is now in the major leagues with the Cleveland Guardians. And everybody was like, okay, he's tweeting out this stuff about, I'm so happy to be back with, Will Benson. And you weren't really sure about, you knew they came up with the minors together, but you didn't really maybe understand how deep and how long this friendship has been. And she posted this phenomenal tweet here showing them when they were 7 years old on the same Little League baseball team. So that is a friendship that's been around for a while. And I love seeing it. I just had to share it with you. You had to dig a little bit to find it, but I just thought it would be great to share it with you. So Xzavion Curry, what are the good things that we can talk about him so far? First off, 80 grade name. Love the name. How could you not? It's phenomenal. Second part is too, right? He's playing for the Cleveland Guardians. We love any pitcher that plays for the Cleveland Guardians typically. And it's late in the season, and people are starting to hit that pitch count number or innings limit, like you're going to be seeing with a lot of these players that we were highlighting earlier this season, especially all these rookies that have never pitched more than 100 innings. Xzavion Curry's already hit a lot of his inning, not limits, but his max numbers, right? He's posted career highs in his innings pitched and batters faced and a lot of these other things as well. But it looks like the Cleveland Guardians are going to write him. Now they're doing some things too where they're putting him in relief and then they start him. So you got to be careful there. But because there's so many injuries and there's so many rookies that, again, are hitting that innings limit that we've been talking about for quite some time, I wanted to give you a pitcher to look at. And if you're unsure about if Xzavion Curry is a good fit for you, let me take you to somebody who I always trust, and that's Pitcher List. So Xzavion Curry, here when they played against Tampa Bay, he had a no decision against Tampa Bay, that amazing Tampa Bay team that has Brandon Lowe in it. And he went 5.1 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 6 hits, 1 walk, and 6 Ks. The key here, though, he had 12 whiffs and 36 CSW, again, called strikes and swinging strikes. Out of 78 pitches, the Pitcher List always has some great comments here, along with saying, hey, pulled it off, and the slider was solid, and the curve earned 65% of his strikes. Look, his next game is against the Angels, and that's going to be today on Saturday when I'm recording this. And the next week game, again, because they play around so much with his starts and his, if he's going to do bullpen, is going to be either at Kansas City or at home against Texas. Now, why is it a big deal about at home or at? You don't typically know the Guardians to be like, just a great home team in the sense of pitchers that pitch there are just like, yes, we're home. But Xzavion loves pitching at home. Let's look at some of his home away stats here in the last couple of times he started at home. So 5 innings pitched against Tampa Bay, as we just talked about, 6 strikeouts, pretty good start. At Minnesota, he got lit up, and that was in 2 innings pitched and 6 earned runs, right? Again, at home against the Dodgers, pretty good team. 3 earned runs, only 1 strikeout, but he only pitched 2 innings, so this might have been one of those bullpen outings as well. Again, Detroit, not a huge, team, definitely not the Dodgers, but 6 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts with only 1 earned run. Again, he loves pitching at home. Then when you see Tampa Bay, when he was at Tampa Bay, so the second time he faced Tampa Bay, he did great. 6 strikeouts, only 1 earned run. When he was at Tampa Bay, 5 innings pitched with 5 earned runs and 1 strikeout. So again, he loves being at home because then again, Chicago White Sox, I know. You're like, but Tampa Bay and White Sox aren't even in the same category. Yes, I get it, but let's still look at it, right? 5 innings pitched, 19 batters faced, 2 earned runs, and 4 strikeouts. I would definitely start him if he's at home against Texas. If he's at Kansas City really doesn't scare me that much and shouldn't scare you either. I would start him either place. So depending on where he ends up starting, again, he doesn't really have a kind of a set time when he's used. I would start him both times. And if you're in a week-long league, just go ahead and start him. They'll be fine either place. I feel that in my bones. I'm loving anytime you can show me some little league picks on one of your players, and then on top of that, when you can show me these home and away splits as well. Okay, so let's have a quick chat here. The next 3 players we're going to talk about, 2 of them are prospects that just got called up. Guess what? Prospects are getting called up a lot. And that's what happens, especially here at the end of the season. And that's the time to really strike because you can really get this lightning in a bottle where a young player just doesn't even know they're supposed to suck, right? Or I'm supposed to strike out. I'm hitting home runs. I'm here and I'm having fun. That's a great. But also I'm going to sandwich in there an even better pick, which I really think you should pay attention to. But as somebody who plays Dynasty a lot, and I play probably 80-20, 80% of my leagues are Dynasty, 20% are season-long leagues. Both these guys are gone. And I wish I had more shares of both of them. I only have about 4 or 5 shares of the first one and about 4 or 5 shares of the second one, but I love both players tremendously. So who are we going to talk about first here? Jordan Lawlar. Oh my goodness. I mean, we're talking top 10 prospect here. Somebody who, if you're playing Dynasty, he's been on your radar for quite some time. So Chris Clegg, Roto Clegg, we highlight him probably every other week here on the show. So Jordan Lawlar is getting the call. He's been an elite hitter the last few months through May 24th, so the first kind of part of the season, 151 plate appearances. He was at 168, 298, 336 with a 68% contact rate. Since another 339 plate appearance later, he's at 325, 416, 565. That's almost 1,000 OPS, almost 1,000 OPS, 15 home runs, and a 78% contact rate. His average exit velocity this year is 103 miles an hour, which puts him in the 90th percentile. And Chris calls him out that he could be a 20 home run, 30 stolen bases threat. That's A, an amazing change, and B, just kind of shows you the growth potential here as well. He's, again, if you're in Dynasty, you know about Jordan Lawlar everywhere. If it's season long, he's a top 10 prospect in pretty much everywhere. And I've always just been a Jordan fan. So let's go and check out what he's done again in AAA. We kind of know, right? So he went from AA, where he had 15 home runs, went to AAA, and just continued to grow. So in the 8 plate appearances, he only had a 15% strikeout rate, which is almost 10 points lower than where he normally is. The walk rate was in line, though, 11.3%. And he had a 358, 438, and a 612 slugging percentage with 5 home runs in AAA, 18 runs scored, and 19 RBIs. Now, he's already played 2 games. So that's the whole career. He's done. But at 20 years old, he's already played 2 games in the majors, 7 plate appearances, and he's had one hit. I know. It's just done. Let's throw him out. He's done. He's forget it, right? No. So one single. I think that for sure that Jordan has another hot streak coming. Arizona's going to play him every day. They definitely have the room to play him. He's at shortstop, which is frankly, well, at least in almost every league I'm in, shortstop and third seem to be the shallowest places in the sense that you have those really big boppers at the top, and then you having a hard time here at the bottom as well. But definitely want to make sure that we have Jordan Lawlar there as well, and just ride the wave of goodness that can come with him, Jordan Lawlar. All right, now the player that I think is better than the two prospects we've sandwiched in between, Michael Brantley. So, why is Michael Brantley better than both of these guys? Well, first of all, let's talk about the fact that Michael Brantley's playing. He has been out almost all season and he's finally playing now. And he seems like he's pretty much back. Now, this play I'm about to show you has implications for both Michael Brantley and the next player I'm going to talk to you about here in a second. But just so you can see the greatness. So, Talking Baseball, another great person to follow on Twitter. Dallas Garcia seems to injure his knee jumping to catch Michael Brantley's home run ball. So let's go ahead and look at this. So, of course, I already kind of told you the ending here, right? Dallas Garcia hurts himself right here. And it's kind of a real just kind of just doesn't look right. So great, right? Brantley has hit a home run. That's great news. He's 36 years old. So ancient times compared to some of these other players that we've talked about as well. And in the 6 games he's been up, 20 plate appearances, 2 home runs, 4 runs scored, 6 RBIs. He's just barely striking out, which is, again, in line with what he's always done. The thing is his playing and staying healthy. But why do you care? We're only a couple weeks left. Ride the hot streak. This is somebody who could absolutely put up double-digit home runs if he has enough chance and enough play. If he's healthy, I don't put it past him to get 10 home runs the last couple weeks. Sure, why not? Again, especially when he's playing with the Astros in a home run friendly ballpark at home, and then on top of that, he's hitting on the road too. You're also talking about somebody who's playing in a division that has some weak pitching. Sorry, Oakland. And some other places as well where he can really kind of pick it up. And he has a ton of chances for RBIs, as he's already hitting 6 RBIs in those 8 games. So I'm seeing RBI potential, run potential, and a very explosive team here. And then on top of that, he's going to have a ton of playing time as well. I think Michael Brantley is going to play as long as he's healthy. And that's always been the what if, right? What if he's healthy? And I hope they don't send him, on steals or anything like that. But he definitely looks like he's back to being healthy. They gave him months to recuperate. They didn't rush him back, which I love. There's a lot of clamoring there back in July and in August to get Michael Brantley back faster, and they really took their time with him. They stuck around, and I think they're really going to pay off dividends. It's going to pay off dividends for you too if you pick him up. So Michael Brantley is definitely the big pickup there in these last couple of picks. And then finally, my favorite pick, because I had picked him up early on in almost every dynasty league I could. And I have been calling him out as somebody who I thought was going to be just dynamite. And he was amazing this year in his minor league, So Evan Grant, if you follow the Rangers, or heck, if you're in fantasy baseball at all, Evan Grant is one of the best. Texas Rangers reporter for the Dallas Morning News. And frankly, I think Evan Grant does a couple things that I wish all writers did. He pushes back on people. A lot of writers do that, right? He pushes back on people that, just kind of do these huge, grandiose statements, such as, we need to bench so-and-so, or, this guy's terrible. And Evan's like, no, he's not terrible. He's in a slump, or this guy is terrible. He always is very even keel. And he even tells people, hey, look, if you don't want to have reality check news, if you don't want to have the stuff that you really want to know about, don't follow me. And I love that about him. But Evan Grant says, so Evan Carter in his first game, in the second inning of tonight's game, Evan Carter has recorded his first outfield assisted, recorded his first hit, and recorded his first stolen base. Evan Carter fills up stat sheets. Stolen bases, RBIs, home runs. He does it all. He was only in AAA for 8 games at a 20-year-old. Again, we just talked about Michael Brantley at 36. So 16 years earlier, Sweet 16, you have Evan Carter. Now, he got promoted after 97 games in AA. And in AA, he had a 12 home run, 22 stolen base season in just 97 games. In 8 games in AAA, he had 0 home runs. I'm not that worried about it. 8 runs scored, 3 RBIs, and 3 stolen bases. But more importantly, he's kept his strikeout percentage down every single place he's played. Some places have been 19%, 16%, 21%. And then, of course, 15% in AAA right before he went to the majors. He's, again, only played in in those 2 games. And frankly, you're seeing everything you're supposed to. Great defense, great speed, and a great bat. I mean, what more could you ask for? Fantasy-friendly profile, and I will call it the defense for fantasy because if you can't play defense, right, you're not going to play. And this is why I was calling out the Adolis Garcia from earlier, because of the fact that if he didn't get injured, I don't think Evan Carter would be having the everyday role that he has now. But Garcia gets injured, Evan Carter's been inserted in to a Rangers team who's still trying to get to, that first place or that first bye or even in the playoffs at this point. And they're hoping that this Evan Carter will bring him that spark as well. So he's definitely going to have a lot of playing time ability. And again, AL West is not what it used to be. The Angels are jettisoning off every pitcher or anybody with a pulse. The Oakland A's are, hurts me to say this, but the Oakland A's are not the Oakland A's. And then, of course, you have the Astros, who are the Astros. So other than that, and then the Mariners, who are having a lot of pitchers that are going to about to hit an innings limit. So with that being said, I really like Evan Carter. I love the chance that he's going to have, and I think he's really going to show out and be great for your fantasy league. So with that being said, hopefully I didn't mess up too bad for y'all. And hopefully you will still come back here next week when I think I'll be hosting by myself again. Sorry for everybody. But if not, you'll be seeing me with Jason. Either way, reach out to me on Twitter. Reach out to me on Fantasy Six Pack Discord. Reach out to me on Carrier Pigeon. I'd love to hear from you. Love to debate you. And as always, I'm hoping this can help you out. Thank you so much for watching and look forward to seeing you next week.